Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, November the 5th, 2020. We have survived almost a whole week of our quarantine, and hopefully we will be seeing each other very soon. Also, you probably know already this morning that we still do not have a president. Donald Trump is still currently our president, but we do not have an answer to who is going to be inaugurated into the White House in January. So the president is elected by the people in November, and it's not until the beginning of January that the presidency changes over. So the president will, on Inauguration Day, go up and give a huge speech. Other people will give speeches, and he will promise, or she in the future will promise to lead our country the best that they can, basically, in a nutshell. And it's called being inaugurated into the White House. So they're sworn in as our leader for the next 4 years. So currently, Donald Trump is still in the Oval Office in the White House as our president, but it's yet to be determined if he will continue on to be our president or if Joe Biden will become our next president. So the race is very, very close, super close. And honestly, at this point, it could go to either of the two men. There's still a few states left who have to finish submitting their ballots. And it's not based on popular vote, which would just be if they counted every human in the country who voted and said there were this many who voted for him and this many who voted for him, and whoever has the most wins. It's based on a system called the Electoral College. So government and politics is not my biggest strong suit. So in a nutshell, the Electoral College is based on the population of the state, how many people live there, and based on that population, each state gets so many Electoral College votes. So whichever way that vote goes is which way the whole state will go. So our state had the most Electoral College votes for Donald Trump. So Tennessee as a whole voted for Donald Trump. There has to be 270 Electoral College votes to win the presidency. And last time I checked, Joe Biden was at 264 and Donald Trump was at 214. And I haven't checked it in a while, so it's possible that's changed. But it's kind of at a standstill right now. We don't know which way it's going to go. But I do know that this election is going to go down in history as one of the crazy elections in history. It's been extra crazy this year because normally people can go in person and vote on a computer, and those votes are way easier to count because the computers can help do the work for us. But this year, because of COVID, there were a lot of people who chose not to go out in public and vote. They had paper ballots like I had in my car, and they had mail-in votes. So you could request that a ballot be sent to you at your house, and you could fill it out and send it back through the mail. But that's taking a really long time to count in some states. There's also some states that President Trump is requesting a recount because it was very, very close, within 1%. And then the candidates are allowed to request that recount if it's that close. So it could be a few more days. It could be a few more weeks. The last crazy election that I remember in my lifetime, and I think there's only 4 or 5 that really stand out in history as crazy elections, was in 2000, so 20 years ago. George Bush was running against Al Gore for the presidency, and at the time, some states were still using an old ballot system called punch card ballots. And so basically you would, which I never voted with one of these, so I have not seen one in person, but basically it works that you punch a hole by the person that you are voting for. And the little parts that fall out, I believe, are called chads, and there was a problem with those. Some of them did not punch out correctly, and there was a huge miscount in the state of Florida. And so everything had to be recounted by hand, and it got really, really crazy, and it took about a month before we found out that George Bush was going to be the president that year. So I guarantee that when you grow up and you have kids of your own or grandkids one day, that they will probably be reading about the year 2020 in their history books, because with the pandemic and with the crazy election and all the things going on, this is definitely a year for the history books. Okay, so while we kind of lie in wait to find out who our next president is going to be, we're going to go back to science a little bit today. So yesterday we talked about that the deciduous trees start to change their leaves and lose their leaves to get ready for winter, and they start to go dormant for winter. Madeline is knocking at me through the door. But animals also have to get ready for winter. So plants go dormant in winter. Some plants, not all plants. We have our evergreens that are green all year long. And animals also have to get ready for winter. Humans have to get ready for winter. One thing that we do to get ready for winter is make sure that we have warm clothes that fit us. Some people make sure that they have firewood to keep their house heated. Other people make sure that some people heat their house with gas, so they would have to make sure that that gas is hooked up and paid for. My house has central heating and air, so we might need to adjust the thermostat to get ready for winter. We also start planning, right? So we have fun holidays in the winter that we get to start planning. And that's not really for our protection in winter, but it's something that we do to prepare for the winter. Animals, however, don't have a house like we have with central heating and air unless it's a household pet. They get lucky, and so they don't have to worry about a thing. But the animals outside in nature do have to worry about a thing. So they can start to tell that the days are getting shorter and it's getting colder, just like the plants can tell. And there is 3 different things that they might do depending on their species. The first thing that they might do is they might hibernate for the winter. So they might eat a whole bunch of food and store up their body fat and find a nice cozy den and sleep through the winter until it's spring. Another thing that they might do is migrate. If they migrate, it means they're going to move for the winter. So that would be like if we lived somewhere really, really cold and we moved to the beach for the winter to stay warm. A third thing that they might do is to adapt. So humans adapt for the winter. We make sure that we have all the supplies that we need. We dress differently for the winter to make sure we stay warm. I'm not going to go outside in a sundress when it's super cold and snowing, and I hope that you don't either. And we're also not going to go swimming, which Madeline was really disappointed about this morning when I told her that swimming in November was not what we were going to do. But some animals also stay where they normally live, and they just change the way they lived. It's called adapting. One example of adapting would be an Arctic fox. So think about it. You're a fox and you live up in the Arctic Circle. It's going to get really cold. It's going to get really snowy. And if it's snowy and you're a fox with brown fur or bright red fur, you're going to stand out. Well, one thing they do is change the color of their fur. And they can change their fur to white fur so that they can be camouflaged in the snow and not stand out to predators, which is pretty cool. Some dogs, even around here in the winter, one thing they'll do to adapt is they'll grow their fur coat really, really thick, super thick to keep them warm. And then in the springtime, they shed, and all that extra fur falls off in your house and gets on your clothes and all that good stuff. So your challenge today is to, you are going to have to do a little bit of research, and you're going to find at least 6 animals that live where we live in southeastern Tennessee, okay? And you're going to do a little bit of research and find out if those animals hibernate, migrate, or adapt. And then after you've done that and you've made your list, pick one, or you can choose another animal that's not on your list that lives in our area. Remember, they have to live in southeastern Tennessee where we live. And you're going to do a little extra research and find out how they do that. So maybe if you chose a bear, bears that live in our area hibernate. And so you would have to do a little extra research to find out what they need to do to get ready to hibernate. Where might they hibernate? When might they wake up? And how all that works, okay? So parents and guardians, you might have to give a little bit of help on this one, because unless you have some really good reference books at your house, you're going to have to get on the internet a little bit and do a little bit of research on there, a little bit of digging, and your kids might need a little bit of help. So this can be super fun, and if you want to take it a step further and you have the resources at your house to create more of a research presentation that you want to bring back to school with you, you can. You don't have to. Also, if you want to do more than 6, if you're really into it and you want to keep going, then you keep going, okay? So I'm really excited to find out what you all come up with, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, guys.